You're listening to the True North Success Podcast. Real stories of personal, professional, and financial wins from Alberta's best. With your hosts, Gary Ma and Amy Kim.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today my special guest is Michael Halliwell. He is a review engineer and associate at Thurber Engineering in Edmonton, where he has practiced for over 26 years. He specializes in environmental assessments, site remediation, and workplace safety. As a recognized expert in radon measurement and mitigation, Michael serves on the board of directors for the Canadian Association of Radon Scientists and Technologists. He holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in engineering from the University of Alberta. His community service has earned him prestigious honors, including the King Charles III Coronation Medal. It is my pleasure to have Michael Halliwell on the show today. Welcome to the show. So, Michael, I gave a quick overview of your success, but can you fill in the details of what you do, who you serve, and how long you've been doing this for?
Well, you hit the nail on the head pretty well there. I've been with Thurber Engineering now for 26 and a half years. Obviously, an engineer by trade, environmental engineer at that, which is something that a lot of people kind of go, environmental engineer, what do you guys do? And more or less what I like to tell people, kind of tongue in cheek, is we're the guy who looks after other people's messes. It's the assessment of sites, the remediation or options to deal with remediation or management of contamination. Those kind of are more bread and butter and monitoring programs as well. But part of that assessment process, we do a lot of phase ones, which is kind of research history. And that's where I kind of dovetailed in a couple other things like the radon, like hazardous building materials assessments, looking for things like asbestos and lead paint. Just to add on, because we do a phase one according to the CSA standard, and you have to verbosely say, hey, we're talking about radon here, we're talking about asbestos here, we're talking about lead paint or lead. And we got a lot of questions just, hey, can you guys actually assess for that? So good old business plan kicked in. We actually dovetailed in adding those service offerings to what Thurber offers.
Right on. So, like the audience is probably not too familiar with radon. So can you help explain what radon is and why it's important to check for radon?
The $1 million question. I know there's going to be a lot of folks who will roll their eyes. It's, kind of like asbestos. It's one of those things that you can't see, can't smell, can't taste. Right. It's out there, and it doesn't, unlike H2S, it doesn't knock you down. It doesn't, cause immediate health effects right there and then. So it's one of those things that a lot of people like to kind of push under the carpet and say, yeah, well, whatever, we're not worried about it. But the problem with radon is it's a radioactive gas. It's a degradation product of uranium, which an awful lot of Canada has in pretty good abundance. And when it gets into your house or your office and you inhale it, when that radon decays, it kicks out an alpha particle. And that's a type of radiation that's a big, heavy type of radiation. A couple neutrons, couple protons, and it gets fired off from the particle as it continues to degrade. Now, alpha particles themselves are not that bad in that, like, even your skin can stop them. The problem comes is when you inhale radon gas, those particles are directly in unarmored parts of your body. They're in there with the soft tissue of your lungs. That's very important tissue. And they damage the cells, those alpha particles. If you're lucky, the cells die. If not, they can lead to lung cancer. And behind smoking, it's the number 2 cause of lung cancer in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And it's something that a lot of physicians don't really connect the dots with yet. Right. If you're not a smoker, they're not going to screen you for lung cancer, because, if you're not a smoker, there's no need. But there are areas in the country, and even in Alberta, that have a high potential for radon. And ongoing exposure increases your risk of developing lung cancer related to radon exposure. Okay.
So it really becomes a potential health hazard that you don't know about. It's hidden. And it's, I guess, is it hard to find, or is it, easy to detect?
Well,
what's that like?
It's easy to monitor for. There's a couple of different ways to go about it. What Health Canada recommends, and is kind of the gold standard, is to use something called an alpha track detector.
Mm-hmm.
It's a relatively small, probably about couple inch diameter, almost like a hockey puck.
Mm-hmm.
There are some larger, some smaller ones. Set that up for just over 3 months, 90 plus days, so 91 days basically or more. And it just monitors. You get it sent off to the lab, they analyze it, they get you your results. And then you can compare that to Health Canada's guideline. So it's relatively easy, relatively painless to set up one of those. If you were after more of a kind of a quick screening, there are a lot of libraries across the country that are offering, I don't want to say rentals, but loans of electronic radon monitors.
Okay.
Good for a little bit of a short-term glimpse, not gold standard per se, but they give you a glimpse as to what you're playing with.
Mm-hmm.
We still prefer the longer-term test to kind of get more of an average value over a longer time to kind of more characterize the exposure, but they do give you a snapshot at least.
Okay.
But in a couple different ways, and if you're over the 200 becquerel per cubic meter guideline that Health Canada sets, it's recommended that you do something about it. If you're unfortunately over 600, they recognize that as a far higher health risk, and they kind of recommend do something with it in the next year versus within a couple of years for that lower level. And it's just because it's based on so much research and history from mines. Uranium mines and underground mines, mostly in Europe, is where things kind of got recognized initially. But it has become a really an international thing. And in Canada, we have a lot of uranium. Especially in Alberta. Like, that's where I'm based. Yeah. A lot of people know kind of the background with what we do here and how we had the old glaciers come through. They went all the way down towards Ontario. When they receded, we've got these beautiful geology. We've got this nice thick layer of clay, especially in the Edmonton area. And that's good. It's protective of the environment. It helps contain things if you were to spill something from the environmental point of view. But from the radon side, a lot of that material has more uranium in it because it ground up Canadian Shield and brought all that material back with it. So actually, Alberta Environment has actually increased in the environmental guidelines for the province, has actually increased the uranium level that's acceptable just because of that, when our background levels are a little higher. So we've had to adjust that versus what the Canadian Council of Ministers of the Environment say is kind of the baseline. They've actually upped it a little bit.
So like for, I think, new house construction in Edmonton, like I've seen radon gas detection or
mitigation. The mitigation reference. It's actually part of the National Building Code.
Is it?
And the Alberta edition of that building code. It's mandated now. You have to have that.
Okay.
And part of that is just to make it easier if there is a problem.
Okay.
Because trying to retrofit an older house, it can get a little more challenging.
So it's not saying that there is a problem right now, but it's basically putting this in now in case type of thing.
It's the cheap and easy way of doing it. It's some pipe, it's some rock, to make sure that you can mitigate versus coming in there, punching a hole in the concrete and trying to scoop things out, trying to make enough of a void and hope that it reaches and spreads through the sand or whatever else might be underneath.
I see.
The house from prior. So it's I wouldn't say a preventative, but a precautionary measure, just in case. It makes it a lot easier to mitigate.
Right. Well, switching gears, like like you mentioned, environmental engineer. What kind of led you to become an environmental engineer early on?
Well, this might surprise you, but coming through high school and junior high, I was actually in cadets, and I was looking at being a pilot, maybe even a military pilot.
Okay.
For quite some time in my career or my early, school years. Went to the reserves, spent a couple of years trying to get into the ROTP. Of course, this is back in the days when they were closing a military college and things were getting very hard. And, honor student, but I wasn't captain of the football team, captain of the soccer team or baseball team or wrestling team too.
Okay.
So, I didn't have the 90 plus average and, multiple captain of the team or what have you. And So I was passed over. And I thought, well, I'm not going to wait around for the military to figure out that I'm a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through the Air Crew Selection Center, had a beautiful number there, and it still wasn't enough. So I thought, well, okay, what do I understand? Do I want to actually go through and do just piloting?
Right.
Or do I want to make use of, kind of my lucky to have background and ability to kind of see how things kind of fit together or work together,
mm-hmm.
and do something, good in the science is good in math, might as well, put that to some use and go and see what engineering is about.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, worst case scenario, I get a degree, I come back out, and then, maybe look at piloting later. Well, never look back. Kind of engineering at the U of A. There wasn't an undergrad program in environmental at that time, so I went civil, aimed my options at environmental.
Yeah.
They launched the environmental undergrad actually when I was in third year civil.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So rather than waste that year and come back around for second year environmental, I carried on, and I just managed to keep the bootstraps pulled up enough. I got into grad school, was able to do a master's in environmental, and came out at the same time as that first class of undergrads from environmental with a master's degree.
Right on.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
And basically I've been able to use that kind of intuitive sense of how things work.
Yeah.
Because environmental engineering is not as much A plus B equals C overall.
Right. Yeah.
How the way things flow underground or even in the air.
Yeah.
Modeling it, you have to have a bit of a feel for how things are supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are very dynamic systems. There's not, it's not like a fixed building. X structure will give you, X, Y, Z for the foundation. You need this to hold it up. No, it's you punch a hole in the field, find some contamination. It's which way is the groundwater flowing? How is this stuff going to move? What are the preferential pathways? All these other things that come into play, and there's a little more gut feeling and intuition that needs to come into play, because punching that next hole to try and figure out where it's going, you want to be responsible with the money your client's giving you.
Yeah, yeah. As a environmental engineer, like what kind of sets you apart from the competition? Like what other, like what comes easy to you that others might find challenging?
I have a few clients who'd say I'm the guy they call if they want to find contamination. Case in point, I did some work in a rural area where there was a single well site on a quarter section. They said, okay, we'll give you 5 holes, go find out whether there was anything there. Okay. Middle of a field, there's nothing showing where anything was anymore. I did my little bit of background to try and figure out what I was going to do and where I was going to put things. And sure enough, I found all the contamination.
Oh, wow.
Middle of an empty field, and I still found the contamination for them. They're like, okay, we'll get on our cleanup.
Yeah.
They were hoping I wouldn't find anything, and it had been a lot of years, but I managed to find the dirty stuff. So that seems to be my my special talent, or my superpower, is I sniff out contamination.
Right. A little bit of intuition or magic.
Well, if you're in the industry long enough, you kind of develop a bit of a sense of where things go, how things move, best places to look to give you the best option. I think because of my piloting, my background there, I was a black pilot. I kind of had that top-down look and hold on, what's that? That might be something I need to look at. Let's go investigate that further, type of thing. So, a little intuition, just picking things out, finding things a little easier, perhaps.
Right. Well, that's pretty cool. to find, maybe not for your client, but for you to find these spots where you found the contamination, where it would be typically pretty hard to find, right?
I've lucked out there a few times. We actually got lucky doing some work down at Rossdale, the old power plant site in Edmonton. We actually had an archaeologist with us, and our little 6-inch auger found the 6-inch palisade wall from Edmonton House number 4 that they had been, or what people normally call Fort Edmonton. So we found one of the walls they'd been looking for years, and we bullseyed it with our sampling auger.
Oh, wow.
Without having any idea, like, oh yeah, somewhere in there we could have it, and we got lucky. We happened to find it fully filled the auger, so we bullseyed that wall. And I've never seen an archaeologist jump for joy before, but I did that day.
What kind of tips or suggestions would you give someone who wants to be more successful?
If they're young, I'd say embrace the field work.
Okay.
I know a lot of folks coming out of university and they've got the degree that I want to get in the office. I want to do this big engineering stuff and get all
Right.
the, being there doing all the math and writing the reports and having my name
Yeah.
out there. And the field work provides a fundamental basis for everything you do later. It makes you a better
Okay.
project manager. You know
Hmm.
what's going to happen, the things that can happen, how, what your people in the field will be experiencing. You've already
Right.
experienced it. You can give them
Yeah.
from your own background information that can help them out.
Yeah.
But you also see firsthand the things, those little clues that say, oh, hold on, what used to be here? We
Right.
need to check this out because, hey, there's something here that, there's clues that we need to incorporate. And if you go directly into the office, you will not see those and they will be lost to you. So
Right.
it's a pain that keeps you out of town quite often, away from friends, family, what have you, but it's not forever. But what
Yeah.
you learn there is amazingly applicable and helpful for your career as a whole.
Right. Right. So field work, getting that real groundwork experience
The
type of thing.
hands-on, yeah, the hands-on
Hands-on
work.
experience. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good tip and good opportunity for young engineers who really wanna grow. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. What do you think one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in your career, and how were you able to turn that into a positive?
Well, environmental engineering is not what most people think of when they hear you do something related to the environment.
Okay.
When I started off, everyone thought I was a tree hugger.
Okay.
Oh, you're anti-industry, you're a tree hugger, you're not. It's a totally different field. Like, yes, there are those who are involved with environmental protection and climate change and all these other things.
Okay.
That's not what I do. That,
Right. Okay.
I'm out there cleaning up after 50 years of a gas station,
Right. Right.
or I'm helping turn former rail yard into major university campus type of
Right.
thing. I'm not out there, oh no, you can't pollute, don't do this.
Right.
There are those who that is part of their career,
Yeah.
but that's not what I do as an environmental engineer. I'm out there dealing with soil, with groundwater, a little bit with air,
Yeah.
just dealing with contamination and making it safe again.
Mm. Hmm. So I think maybe a lot of people don't understand that then.
Yeah.
What exactly an environmental engineer, someone like you, what kind of work they actually do.
Well, it's such a wide encompassing field that's covered by the environment.
Right.
The people kind of see the stuff on the news, and that's what they assume you do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like one of those little six panel, what you do, what your friends think you do, what your mom thinks you do. Those memes that are out there. Yeah,
Hmm.
looks totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting perspective, for sure. For sure. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't think Greta would like me very much, Greta Thunberg, because I'm
Oh.
not, I'm not keeping it in the ground. I'm do it responsibly. We'll look after the environment. You know, clean up your
Hmm.
mess if you make one type of thing. Not no, 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 no. Pedal your bike, not drive a car. No, no, that's you can get it out of the ground. There's ways to do it responsibly. You know,
Right.
manage things all the way along the pathways. Make sure you're not impacting soil, groundwater, air quality type of stuff. But you don't have to be that sort of an activist to be an environmental engineer.
Right, right, right. Yeah. So I mean that's a really good point. Like if people don't understand what being an environmental engineer is, they kind of lump you all together as a environmental activist, I'll call it, which maybe isn't right.
No,
So
we do advocate for the environment. We do
yeah,
advocate for making sure things are cleaned,
yeah.
but it doesn't mean we're that sort of an environmental activist.
Right, 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 right. I mean, it sounds like things are going really well for you and your business. You know, as a busy engineering professional, a lot of time is spent actively working. When looking towards the future, many people don't want to have to be working so hard for income. So, you know, some look at different ways of creating income and profits outside of actively working. You know, things like investing in stocks, bonds, crypto, maybe using a financial planner or something like that. What are your thoughts about ways of creating income outside of your work and active business?
Well, I find it's a bit of a twofold answer here.
Hmm.
One is looking after what you are earning now.
Yeah.
I know lots of people like the fancy car, the big house, all the toys, the quads and the boats and everything else.
Yeah.
Myself, I can accept not looking rich
Hmm.
because I'm looking after, my needs, my goals.
Hmm.
We're a single income family in my household,
Right.
but the only debt we have right now is what's left on our mortgage.
Hmm.
And we've
Hmm.
kept the credit cards to debt to a minimum and paid them off all the time.
Hmm.
We're not, spending thousands of dollars for the latest toy, and then it sits in a garage or in the yard because you only use it 2 or 3 times a year. We're
Yeah.
realistic. If we need something, we'll get it. If not, it's nice, but let's be realistic with our budget first of all. Let's look after our budget first of all. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, looking out for retirement, we did get a financial planner in fairly early.
Right.
I'm doing quite well in my retirement fund, my
Right.
RSPs and things like that, and got a little bit kind of on the side here for just in case. And it's just making sure that you have what you need for in the future, and if that means retiring early, and yeah, you
Yeah.
can be set up for that if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit with the toys and that when you're younger. It's not as fun, but it gives you what you need for longer term that way.
Right. Yeah. So eventually, you've got a financial planner right now, and you'll
Yep.
have financial freedom later on
Oh,
with some planning that you've done with your financial planner.
yeah, very much so. And
Yeah.
it's nice to get to the point where you work because you want to, not because you have bills to pay.
Right. Yeah.
If you wanted to retire early, you could, type of
Yeah.
thing, but still have a good lifestyle and good income from your retirement investments. So,
Right. 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 So it's
um,
a matter of, it sounds like planning and then working that plan.
exactly. Yeah, and a little bit of self control,
Right.
because
Okay.
there are lots of things that come along that you go, ooh, yeah, I love that. But it's okay. Hold on, step back, take a moment to really think about this. Is it a want or is it a need? If it's a
Yeah.
want, can you really afford it, or are
Right.
there other ways to get it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to run out to the dealership and buy a $100,000 truck if a $50,000 truck will work.
Right, right.
You know
So it's a matter of balancing that every day versus something in the future as well.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mike, that wraps it up today. And or sorry, actually, I forgot one question.
Huh.
As we're wrapping up our interview, what kind of exciting plans do you have in the works in the next 6 to 12 months?
Uh, well, obviously he's still working and not quite ready to retire yet.
Okay,
I've got a
okay.
few years there, but I know I've got a trip down to Ontario coming up. I've got a grandfather who turns 100 this year, so I want to be there for
Oh
that.
wow.
Yeah, I'm one of these guys who's been an oxymoron. I like high tech stuff. Like, I've got a fairly new, fairly high end phone and fairly new, fairly high end computer at home, but I also get out there and do old black powder shooting and things like that. So, I'm at
Okay.
kind of both ends of the spectrum. I got the old stuff and the new stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, there's all sorts of things to keep me busy that way. But definitely a trip to Ontario. Got a couple of conferences coming up, so I'll do a little travel, get to see a few friends elsewhere, and yeah,
Yeah.
things like that.
Right on. Very cool. So a little bit of travel and enjoyment and a little bit of hobby stuff.
Exactly, you got it.
Nice, nice. Well, I mean that wraps it up today. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your insights and tips with us. It was a real pleasure to have you on the show. And Mike, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way?
Well, professionally, I'm on LinkedIn, so there's an easy way to get a hold of me that way.
Okay.
Of course, email. I'm sure you'll add the link here to the podcast here before too long.
Okay.
But that works as well, and we can go from there.
Right on. Right on. Well, thank you so much. Take care.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at truenorthsuccessshow.com/guest. We'd love to hear from you.